This is the Organizational Health Advantage podcast with Keith Hadley and James Felton, principal consultants at Table Group. They're in the business of coaching leaders to build strategic focus and cultural alignment that leads to amazing results. This podcast is for leaders who are looking to increase productivity and morale while decreasing politics, confusion, and unwanted turnover. Welcome to the Org Health Advantage.
Hello, and welcome back to the Org Health Advantage podcast. I'm super excited to have somebody on the show who means a lot to me. His name is Mitch Bell, and Mitch is the VP of Physical Production and the co-producer at Marvel Studios. I've known Mitch for decades, and he's absolutely one of my favorite people. He's such a great guy who's super positive, and he's definitely paid his dues in the industry. I'm super glad that it's paying off for him now. We'll talk about the culture at Marvel Studios and why they're so successful. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Welcome, Mitch Bell. How you doing, man?
Yes. Oh, you did it right. I'm impressed. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I think you just made some of that stuff up in your title, but that's okay.
I did, as a matter of fact, and you bought into it, so it's your fault.
We'll check LinkedIn to verify after this.
You do that.
All right. So, Mitch, how long have you been with Marvel Studios?
I have been with Marvel Studios now coming up on 11 years. I started back, I came in at the tail end of Iron Man 2, and have been there ever since. And it's, as I keep telling people, it's crazy when, look, when I went in for the interview and the job, I knew some people there and thought it'd be a cool job, an opportunity, making comic books into movies. How cool is that?
Pretty cool.
Not really. I know, not really, but obviously back then it was kind of a glimmer of what we were doing, right? Every movie that came along, it got more fans and it became a bigger hit and around the world. And it's grown into this, it's taken a life of its own, this MCU. It's a beast that it's amazing to be part of. It really is.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what was your background before that? I mean, I know you're in the industry, so shed a little light on that too.
I moved out here from Colorado, LA to LA in 92, somewhere around, I don't remember actually. And my sister was out here. Yeah. She got me an interview at Imagine Films, which is Ron Howard's company, for a PA position. So went over there, right place, right time, got the job. Started at the bottom. I was in the mailroom delivering mail to Ron and his producing partner, Brian Grazer. Was there for a couple of years. Decided to go freelance because I wanted to actually do, that was more corporate. I wanted to actually make movies.
Yeah.
And so I went freelance, and jumped onto a Jackie Collins Lady Boss, a miniseries.
I did not
was my first, was my first foray into the freelance world as a assistant production coordinator. And I had zero clue what I was doing. But faked it enough where the producer and I got along really well, and he took me on to his next movie and promoted me to coordinator. And again, I had no clue what I was doing. But fortunately, I knew people that did, so I called them up every day. Okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? And got through that and stayed with him for a couple of years and kept doing more and more jobs. Then I did a couple of movies. I did a movie with Bruce Willis called Tears of the Sun.
Yep.
I was in Hawaii on location for about a year, which does not suck.
No, I came out to visit.
And actually, you came out and saw me. You did.
Great.
And we did a few things out there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That we can discuss now. And did features thereafter. I did Ali with Michael Mann and Will Smith. Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore. And a bunch of other movies. And then I got to a point where I was tired of traveling so much and wanted to stay home. And so I thought I'll do TV for a while. And that worked great. But even TV started traveling. And so I kept working my way up the ladder, supervisor, production manager. And then I said, okay, I don't want to travel anymore for TV too. And now what can I do? I'll do corporate. Corporate won't travel. That's fantastic. Started looking for a corporate job. Saw, I had new friends at Marvel, went in for the interview. Got that. I still travel, but now I can pick and choose my travel, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been. I started at the bottom and worked my way up. It took a lot of years.
Oh man, you are one of those guys. I've told you this before, but you're one of those guys who just stayed after it, and I just applaud you so much because you just kept working hard. And I know there were times when it was pretty tough, either with the travel or then being out of work for a little while. And just so applaud all the grittiness you showed, and it's really paying off. Obviously, just so proud of you.
I appreciate that.
So, the reason why I really am interested in having you on here is because I think there's such a cool culture. I can't define it, but I think there's such a cool culture within Marvel, and obviously externally it's cool because you're dealing with celebrities and making cool movies, and you're hitting box office records every time, it seems like. And I know you in your position, all these people, which is really cool. But within it, there just seems to be this awesome culture. And the first thing, you and I were talking about before we started this was how last year, I brought the family out to come see some of the filming and visit you on set of Black Widow. Mm-hmm. And you introduced us to somebody that we didn't know who he was. I mean, you told us his name, but it wasn't until we went to dinner with your family that night that we realized, oh, that was the head of Marvel Studios.
Yeah, Kevin Feige. Yeah, he was on set that day too, and introduced you guys. And again, it does come down from the top, right? It's the culture of Marvel. When I started there 11 years ago, it was a pretty small group.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know the numbers, but I'd say it was probably no more than 30 people at most, and
you were in Manhattan Beach at the time, and you still live in Manhattan Beach. It was like
5 minutes drive. Yeah. I had no problem with the commute then. It was actually pretty nice. Yes. But it's interesting because both he and Lou, the co-producer, Lou D'Esposito, and Victoria Alonso, who's whatever EVPs as well too. It's a culture where there's no egos, right? It's shocking that, as I told you before, it's one of the most historical runs of any movie studio to date. I mean, it's unprecedented what we've done. The first 23 movies have grossed, 19 billion, something like that. Every movie's been number one in the box office. We have the highest grossing movie of all time with Endgame. So it's been a crazy ride, those 30 people that were there, most of them are still there. I mean, very few people have left the studio. Yeah. And I think that's a testament to the leadership of Kevin, Lou, Victoria, and then us below them. And we've grown exponentially since then. I mean, I can't remember how many we have now, but we have well over maybe 150, I think, staff now. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it's funny because funny's not the right word, but when Disney bought us right after I started, Disney, the deal went through right after I started. Disney bought Marvel, and I think they're probably glad they did. But every year it's kind of like, hey, so we were doing one movie per year at the time, and then went to 2. And then Disney is like, well, why don't you do 3 a year? I'm like, okay, what 3 a year? And then they're like, well, why don't you do 4 a year? Okay, fine. The problem is we were already built for that, right? Yeah. So you have to bring on more people, and you're always fearful of that upsetting the karma, the balance within your group, right? You're worried that some people coming in might not fit in, but everyone has. And again, that's a testament to find the right people to fill the spots, right? And now we're now doing 4 streaming shows per year on top of the 4 movies per year. So we've had to grow even more. So now we have the streaming department, and so it's been again, as I keep saying, it's been a crazy ride, and the growth has been just exponential. And but even with all these new people and all these new things that we're doing, there's not egos. There's no egos there. It really is just, it's a nice place to live. Everyone gets along. Everyone, I think is just. I would hang out with any of them. I mean, I like them all. I mean, it's not like It's not like there's that one person that you don't want to see in the office, which happens a lot of times. We don't have that, so it's been refreshing. It really has, because I've worked, look, as you said, I've worked some jobs that I worked with some not the nicest people in the world, and it really is refreshing when you get that.
Yeah. We talk about core values with our clients, and so like even at Table Group, our core values would be humble, hungry, and people smart. We work with Southwest Airlines and their servant's heart, warrior spirit, fun loving. Do you folks at Marvel have that codified where you talk about it, and when you're looking for new employees or you're looking to hire people, you're thinking about those core values? Or is it more informal of like, yeah, I'd like to hang out with this guy or this gal, or no ego here? It's just, you get a vibe.
Yeah, it's pretty informal, and it's interesting because it's amazing that we've been able to stay. And it's like we're not as informal as we used to be.
Sure.
When Disney bought us, the corporate lifestyle kind of bled its way into Marvel, but not to a huge extent.
Right.
And Disney, to their I can't say enough good things about them. Yeah. To their credit, they buy like us and Lucas, but they let you do what you do. I mean, they realize that they're purchasing you for a reason.
Yeah.
And they don't want to mess with that reason.
Yeah.
So that's been refreshing too, having because we are. It's much more corporate than it used to be, but it's not anywhere near what it could be, or probably what it should be, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So it is pretty informal. We're getting more formal because we kind of, as it grows, you kind of have to. It just morphs into, you have to have more of a structure that you used to have.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it has to change, and it is changing. I think not for the better, for the worse. It's just being forced upon the situation.
Yeah.
But no, I think in terms of core values, I think it's something that everyone knows, but doesn't really. It's not really stated though. You know what I mean? I think that we all deep down know that it's creative people, hardworking people. That actually, just the focus is just want to make good movies.
Yeah,
and that's what we are. We just are good people that want to make good movies.
And no egos, as you've touched on a bunch.
Yeah.
You got to be humble.
Yeah, you do. So it's again, it's you do know the people when you meet them. It's shockingly. I mean, interviews are I keep telling. I speak occasionally to groups. And one of my biggest things is that, you have to be in an interview, you got to be yourself, but you also have to be a better version of yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't walk in and expect you have a job. You actually have to earn the job. So that comes across.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. How, one of the things we talked about when we were on set was just the different directors that you're able to bring in. And because while maybe you don't have the culture like codified, but you know what it is, you also know like, okay, we know how to make pretty good movies, really good movies. And you're able to find directors that are okay, like coming in and fitting that system. Talk about that a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. Marvel's a different system because the executives are the producers.
Yeah.
In any other studio that you go to, they hire the producers and they kind of oversee it, but they have a bunch of producers off making a movie.
Yeah.
We're the producers. So we are deeply ingrained on everyday basis on the movies. That doesn't, it takes certain directors to want to do that. Not all of them do.
Yeah.
A lot of them want to be more independent and make their movies and they do a great job and that's fantastic. We want to be collaborative. We want to have a director that has a great vision and actually a great voice, and is able to come in and work with us as a collaborator.
Yeah.
They still are in charge. We still give them the reins, but we do give a lot of input. And so what a lot of times we do is we look for people who are up and coming. Now with the biggest credits. Or the most credits, but someone that has an amazing voice and viewpoint.
Yeah.
And so it's worked very well. We're even trying to become more diverse We are hiring, which has been great on Black Widow. We had Kate Shortland as our director. We had Chloe Zhao on Eternal. So we're as another one of our focuses and our pushes is to become even more diverse, both in front and behind the camera. And so that's one of our things that we're focusing on right now. But it's a formula that works. Again, we've heard from directors that would say they would never work with us because of the way that we work, right? But it works.
Yeah.
It works for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you talk about being collaborative. I mean, when we were on set, the director was like off reading scripts and while filming was going on, or maybe rewriting or I don't know. But she definitely seemed to be like, clearly she was present, but she was also a little bit hands off too. And I mean, that clearly that goes to the collaborative and the no ego and, creative and all that. That's awesome. So how does that work with like bringing in actors?
So it's interesting because I go back to when I first started at Marvel, and we would have to go out and pitch actors to be in our movies. We didn't beg, but we had to actually physically really want make them want to be involved. Now it's the other way around. It's like actors are calling Kevin and Luke constantly saying, I'd love to be in one of your movies. So it's completely changed, and with that's success, right? Success breeds that.
Yeah.
And so, but it's interesting now that we have basically almost everyone in town calling us. Not everybody, because some people don't want to be the superhero genre,
right?
Which that's fine.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like saying, can I be in one of your movies now? And so it's been great because we had Robert Redford in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yes.
Robert Redford, Angelina Jolie is now in Eternals. We got her, and she came to us. And a lot of times it's because, and what they've all said too is that their sons and daughters or their grandkids watch Marvel and know Marvel, and so that's why they want to be involved. Because even if they have no idea what Marvel is because they never read comic books, their kids and grandkids do, and so they want to become involved.
Right.
So it's been a really cool thing to see that it's again that we now have ability to put not whoever we want, but we have a wider selection of choices.
Right. Well, what's been interesting to me is seeing some like really big A-list actors come in and be a part of it, and Angelina Jolie, I guess I didn't even know that, and then some that have been like good actors and played in good parts. Chris Pratt comes to mind. Not that we have to get specific, but like, and then they've really like grown in their stature.
Yep.
And so I understand like how somebody like a Chris Pratt, and again, like, okay, had a good little resume going. Shouldn't say little, but good resume, and then becomes huge. So I get like, okay, he was probably pretty grounded when he came in, versus somebody else who was already really established. And it's like, how does that all work? Are you still going through that? Like, are they going to fit here? Are they collaborative even at that level?
Yeah, we have an amazing casting director named Sarah Finn, who's been with us for longer than I've been there. She's done every one of our movies. And she is remarkable. I mean, and she finds talent, like people that you wouldn't think. I mean, you wouldn't think back when Chris Pratt was cast in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was coming off of Parks and Rec. Yeah. And he was, he wasn't a superhero type of guy, right? Right. When you look at him, you didn't think superhero. Right. But she did, and I think that Kevin Liu also saw that, and he came in for a screen test and was awesome and great. And, and it's different back then because again, you were trying to find the Hemsworths and the Pratts and the Evans of it all. Right. And because again, we didn't really have people coming to us. Right. So we gave these opportunities to people who just nailed it. Now again, it's not different, but you again, as I said, your selection is broader now. You can, get the A-list actors to do this. Is that always the best choice? No, not necessarily. I mean, sometimes, you do want to have someone that's unknown, that will be in the role. So it's now where we can have the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
We can still look for the new talent, but also be able to use the A-list actors.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody I definitely want to touch on specifically would be Chadwick Boseman, because I mean, when news of his death came, I texted you and you were surprised. And then I thought, oh, that story that nobody knew is really true.
Yep.
And is there anything where you look back on it and go like, oh, maybe that, or was he just so in his roles and in his who he was as a person, and that you just talk to us about that?
He never, we didn't know. I mean, and he never asked for time off to do treatments. He never asked for, it wasn't even a glimmer. It's interesting when Civil War was first, when he first came to work for us. And then he did Black Panther after that. He would always come in and he was, bulked up, and he was, in great shape, and, on Infinity War and Endgame, he came in ripped and huge. And it's sad that he didn't feel comfortable sharing it. That's what makes me kind of sad, is that I don't know what we could have done, but at least you wouldn't have to go through it alone, which he did. But I also, know that he was raised in a way that you don't share too much, right? You keep everything inside. And the saddest thing about the whole thing is that, he was really just a nice guy. He was quiet, and he was smart and well spoken, and he had a platform now where he could do such good things, and now he can't. That's the sad thing for me, is that the world has lost this amazing voice that was on the trajectory to do amazing things. Yeah. And it really breaks my heart that we're not going to see what those great things were. Yeah.
Yeah. He seemed to me like he relished his role, not just as, a movie star, but in that role as Black Panther. He seemed to play, really relevant roles, and he seemed to relish that. And also be, kind of a social leader, and also a leader on the set. And he just seemed to embrace that, but again, without the ego.
Yep. No, he's very humble, and again, I think it also goes back to how he was just, he didn't expect a lot, right? I think that he worked hard his whole life and got to where he was by working really hard, and didn't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Which it showed, right? It showed that work ethic and that understanding of his position, and not just in the movies, but just in the world. He's a very deep thinker, and it really is a shame that we won't see what happens next. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it happened during COVID, so you folks weren't really even together when it all happened, right? That must have actually been awkward in how separate all of you were as a family.
We were, we had no idea, and then we're moving forward with everything. So it's we have to now shift and adjust, and we got to figure out what we're going to do now going forward. And I don't know yet, quite frankly, but we're working on that. But it really is heartbreaking. I can't explain it any other way, because it just, when I first heard, when from my wife and from you, and everyone started calling, it's like, it was very surreal. It didn't seem like it could have happened, because totally. You don't think of that. It's like there's no way that he was young and in great shape, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I even remember you telling me about who it was going to be, who Black Panther was going to be, and just how jazzed you were at the time.
Oh yeah.
I remember you told me his name, and I was like, what? who's that?
Yeah.
And you said, well, he's been in this, but he's a great guy and he's going to be awesome.
Yep. Great actor. Everything he did was amazing.
Yeah.
42 was I first saw him in 42 and I, was blown away.
Yeah.
He had a lot of talent.
Yeah.
He had a lot of talent.
Yeah. So in your role, like kind of describe your role a little bit as VP of physical production and co-producer. So for those of us who aren't in the industry.
Yeah. There's a creative side and there's a production side.
Yep.
At Marvel. So they're creative executives who deal with, find the writer, the director, the script. They become the executive producer on the movie. And then David and I, he's my counterpart. We're the physical production aspect of it. And we rotate every other movie. And what we are responsible for is helping to basically figure out where we're going to shoot the movie, what studio we're going to shoot it at, make those deals, bring on a line producer to help work with. We only hire one producer per movie, and that's the line producer, who's also an executive producer, that works for myself or for David. And they're there on the ground day to day. David and I will be there as much as we can. I used to try to go out there, be there 50% of the time when we're filming. It's going to be less now because we're doing more movies, so I won't be able to do 50% of the time. But it's so I hire the producer, and then we start looking at department heads as well too, like the cinematographer, the costume designer, and then as second year director. Look at the big crew members, and then we will work with the director and the creative exec to figure out who we want to hire for this movie. And then we'll make the deals for these people, and then oversee the hiring of the rest of the crew too. So it's almost like a managerial position in terms of making the movie. So you're overseeing the day-to-day aspect of it. I work with my producer on the budget and the schedule, and making sure that we stay on budget and on schedule. You troubleshoot any problems on a daily basis, and there are a few that pop up on a daily basis. But it truly is just a day-to-day managing of the movie.
So when we came out to the set, by the way, you talk about like, oh, I'll be there 50% of the time, maybe not as much now though. But there is like the last summer was London.
London, Atlanta.
I was just going to say Atlanta too. So, we all think of movies as Hollywood and being filmed in LA, and you spend, when you're on set, you're rarely in LA.
Yeah. Because of our movies and the margins, we have to go where there's incentive. There's incentive here in California, but it's not big enough. And it also, some of these stipulations lend itself to not working for us, because you have to film within 6 months of getting the grant, which we don't always do. So it's harder for us to shoot in California, and not just that. It's 2/3 of the incentive go to TV. So it's really busy in town on TV. So even finding stages is hard to do.
Oh, gotcha.
So TV is a big thing in LA still, but not movies. Most movies are not filmed here anymore.
Yeah.
There's not, even the smaller ones.
And so that just makes it like your management of the production, obviously, well, and here's the other thing. When I was on set, you had like what was going on in the set behind us, and we were watching it on TVs, but then you also had other TVs that seemed to be showing something. And we're like, where's that? And you said, oh, that's on a bridge, like in another part of town. And so we're filming this scene here. And it's like, oh my gosh, you've got so much going on.
Yeah.
And I just want to like speak to, I guess I go back to just being super confident in your culture and the people you bring on, that you could like have different things going on at different times of this, huge, expensive movie. And like there was no stress. Everybody seemed calm. Like, just everything was in control.
Well, as we keep saying, like, look, we're making movies. It's not like we're, curing cancer or we're ending world peace or creating world peace. We're making movies. So that look, is it stressful? Yeah, it can be very stressful. You do realize that your time is money, especially when you have these big crews. But you also you hire the right people, and the good thing about that we're lucky at Marvel is that people want to work for us over and over again. So we're loyal to people; they're loyal to us. Yeah. So once you hire people over and over again, the trust goes up even more, right? Yeah. So it's easier to trust the people. But as you said, I mean, logistics are a huge thing. It's like moving an army. I mean, we're over. It depends on which movie it is, but sometimes crews can be over 1,000 people.
Oh yeah.
And you're trying to figure out. It's a puzzle that you're working on and trying to figure out who goes where and how to get the work done in the time that you've allotted, which leads to you doing different units here and there. It's a huge. It's not easy. It's not easy. But again, fortunately, we hire people that make it easy for us, right? Yeah. I'm very fortunate to work with the hire producers time and time again. That I can know and trust because I know that they get to get stuff done, and it takes a load off your plate, which again is nice, and the most the hardest part of it I think is the prep, right? Prep's always going to be the hardest thing because that's where you win or lose is in preparation of anything. I don't care if it's movies or any business enterprise that you do. If you're not prepared for it correctly, you're not going to get there. So that's where we focus a lot of our time on that prep and making sure that we know exactly what we're doing. And you want to plan your shoot and shoot your plan.
Yeah, that's great. Well, one of the things I thought about too is you're saying all this stuff, production and logistics and, all the things going on. And yet that's true for every studio. They all have to do that and they all have to prep. But it seems to me like your culture is your competitive advantage. Meaning
it goes back, James, to being embedded in the movies. It goes back to us being producers. Other studios, look, they do care about what they make, but a lot of times when your entire crew is a hired gun, they don't always care as much and deeply about the project as you do, right? Yeah. They just don't. Yeah. Now a lot of them do. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people are very professional and very very passionate about what they do. But sometimes you get people that just they're there for the paycheck. Yeah. So I think with us being the producers and being embedded there on a daily basis, the creative executive, the executive producer on the movies is there all the time. Yeah. He's there from day one till the end. Yeah. I'm there 50% of the time. And Kevin and Lou and Victoria will come out and visit occasionally to set, just to give, if there's any problems or if they just want to, give support, they do that too. So I think our advantage goes a lot to that we are the producers.
Yeah. Well, I also think you guys are playing the long game. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Tears of the Sun. Nothing wrong with that movie, but you go from that movie to a different movie, has nothing to do with Bruce Willis. It has nothing to do with that studio potentially. You're going from there to the next gig. You folks are Marvel, and it's this long game, and that's got to play into the success as well when you keep bringing people back, as you said.
Yep, that's a big part of it, and again, I think it also goes to the passion of our fans and audience, which is amazing. And if you ever go to a Comic-Con, you see that passion, and it is insane. But being in a Hall H where we do our presentations and hearing 7,000 fans just roaring and yelling, I can understand why like rock stars love being on stage, because it just that you get goosebumps by that, and so it's look, the passion our fans have for our movies is the same passion that we have to make the movies. So and I think it shows, right? Like you just said, I think that is one of the benefits beyond having a shared universe with all these characters that keep coming back and coming and going, and it's this escapism of comic book movies, but not in a kind of a hokey way, right? It's not like another comic book movie. It's actually we try to have subgenres in our movies.
Yeah.
So you have like a thriller, which is a superhero movie, or you have a horror movie, which is a superhero movie. You have all these subgenres which feed into it as well too, which I think is very important as well. Because again, if you just have superhero movie, it can get old. So you have to make sure that you don't lose the crowd.
Right. Well, you also kind of humanize your characters. Mm-hmm. I just coincidentally, we've talked about Chris Pratt a little bit, but I love that scene. I can't remember which one it is, but when Chris Pratt and Liam Hemsworth come together, it was like in Civil War,
Infinity War,
and they're just like totally giving Chris Pratt the business on Liam Hemsworth being this god.
Chris Hemsworth.
Sorry.
Named his brother.
Sorry, Chris Hemsworth. There's so many Chris's.
Chris, if you listen, I'm sorry.
There's so many Chris's in the in your movies.
There are.
But that was I just love that little bit there to humanize them and make it fun.
Some of my favorite scenes are those two together because they're both have great comedic timing and I mean, look, Hemsworth is I'm blown away by how, because you never really think about Chris Hemsworth as a comedian, but his timing is spectacular.
Right. Yeah.
Pratt makes sense because he's always been kind of funny, but Hemsworth is like, that's kind of, you don't know that until all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, he's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, hey man, thank you so much for being a part of this. It's been awesome.
You're welcome.
I have to ask 2 questions that I ask everybody. It is, what's your favorite leadership book? And do you have a favorite leadership quote?
So leadership books, I haven't read much lately, but I do recall back, in my old days when I was in business school and out of business school, the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People has been a favorite of mine. How to win friends and influence enemies has been a favorite of mine. Yep. I started reading a few new ones recently. John Maxwell.
Oh yeah.
Develop a Leader Within has been really cool. So it's I don't really have a lot of time to read lately management books, but yeah, I try to get as much information from everywhere that I possibly can. So I love reading, and so those have been the ones in the past which I've read. As a quote, no, the only thing I can think of is, I don't want to fight you, I want to fight him. Is that a good quote?
No, it's not.
No.
Okay, no. Fair enough. That was good. I like how you stuck that in. Now we'll see if I leave it in or not.
Of course you will. Scott will listen to this. If I can listen to this, you got to leave it in.
All right. I'll leave it in because at Table Group we talk about vulnerability, and so I just got to be vulnerable and leave it in.
See?
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh man, it is. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are. Okay, so we're not going to talk about future, but can you talk about the movie you're working on right now, or can you not even name it?
Yeah. So I just Black Widow. We just finished the one you came over and saw. It turned out even better than I thought it would. I mean, it really is. It's got great emotion. It's got great action. Scarlett's fantastic in it. David Harbour is in it, who's just fantastic. The cast. Rachel Weisz is in it. You got Rachel Weisz. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh is great. I mean, you're gonna fall in love with Florence Pugh. Yeah. So that's great. Eternals. We finished filming last year, and I'm doing some additional photography on that in the next 3 weeks from now. Again, huge cast. Got Kumail Nanjiani and Angelina Jolie and Richard Madden and Gemma Chan and Lauren Ridloff and Liam McHugh, and it's Don Lee, who's like this Korean superstar. Yeah. He's like the Korean Rock. He's great. But a great cast, and we're introducing 10 new characters into the MCU at once.
Oh my gosh!
So that's been interesting. And then I'm prepping, Doctor Strange and the next Spider-Man. So it's and we're finishing up our streaming shows, our first round of streaming shows. Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision, Loki, So those will be on Disney Plus early next year.
Oh, cool.
Maybe even the end of this year if we can finish them in time.
Oh, wow. So what are you doing on this podcast then? You got some work to do.
I know. Well, that TV, again, streaming is not my division right anymore. Thank God I handed it off to somebody else. But yeah, no, it's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, and it all feeds into the MCU. Even the streaming shows, they're tied into the MCU.
Oh, that's great.
So what happens there affects the movies.
Yeah.
Another way around.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So Thank you again. This has been awesome. You and I don't get to talk enough, so I appreciate this. And I think this is going to be awesome. And thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, pal.
Thanks for listening to the Org Health Advantage. Your hosts, Keith and James, are helping leaders change the world of work and invite you to share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. For more resources on building stronger teams and organizational health, check out tablegroup.com.
Produced by Audavita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.